Folks, I'm Peter Lemieux with Rounding Third and Batter Sports, and I tell baseball stories. And I got another great one for you today. However, I want to start the podcast slightly differently. I am filled with emotions. This week I watched the introduction to the Field of Dreams game, and the part that got to me is when the Hall of Famers came out from the corn. And these were ball players I watched and cheered for as I followed baseball in my life. And it brought a rush of great memories, and it was just a wonderful thing. So I thought what I would do today is that I would start the day with a anthem or a credo or something that we can all say together. So if you will bear with me, I'm going to pull that up on my computer and we're going to say this together. However, to do this right, I'm taking my hat off. And I'm going to say, join along with me if you will. This field, this game, it's a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good. And it could be again. Ah, oh, people will come, Ray. People will most definitely come. And that's the way I'm starting my podcast, with a homage to The Field of Dreams, a great movie. I will also ask you at the end of my brief story to not hang up quickly, because I've got another reflection that will come on at the end. Having said that, let me talk about our story. One of the things I've always enjoyed about baseball is that it's a reflection of real life. Things that happen to baseball players happen to us as we struggle through life. For example, we fail most of the time. Hall of Fame hitters go out 7 out of every 10 times up. So there's a lot more failure than there is success, and so too in life. For us to succeed at anything, we've got to get what we call experience. Experience is a friendly word for failures that haven't worked, but we learn and we go on. So in many ways, when we look at baseball stories, if we're open to it, we can see ourselves. So the question today is, did you ever have a time in your life when you did something absolutely extraordinary, something better than you thought you could ever do it in your life, and it went completely unrecognized? Completely unrecognized, even though it was something that you will remember for the rest of your life that you accomplished. So I'll make up this little story to give you an idea. Imagine that a guy is a golfer, and going home from work one day, he decides to just stop and play 3 or 4 holes just to kind of work out the frustrations of the day. When he gets there, it's 6 in the evening, and no one's on the course. So he gets out his bag and his balls and he starts whacking away. A couple of holes into it, a par 3, he hits the ball. It goes in the cup. He has a hole in one, something most golfers only dream of and never get. It's amazing. He's filled with elation, and no one is there. No one is there to congratulate him. No one is there to sign his card. He can't prove to anyone that he got a hole in one. He knows it, but then he tells people that, they all go, oh, sure, I know you did, right? That's what today's story is a little bit like. There are 6 pitchers who did the ultimate accomplishment in Major League Baseball of pitching a no-hitter. They pitched a no-hitter, which if you pitch a no-hitter, your name goes in the Hall of Fame. They have a section there, no-hitters in the history of baseball. Even guys who weren't very good pitchers who pitched a no-hitter, their name will be in there. What these 6 people had in common is they all lost the game. What? Yeah, pitch a no-hitter and lose the game. So I'm going to quickly walk through and highlight these 6 players, and they, like life, are all over the board. There's a couple of good ones, a couple of kind of no names, but they did it. They pitched a no hitter unrecognized because they lost the game. The first one occurred in 1964. The best pitcher on the Houston Colt 45s was their name. Very lousy team, right? By the name of Ken Johnson. He was their best pitcher for a few years. And on April 23rd of that year, he pitched a no-hitter against the Cincinnati Reds. However, he lost the game when in the top of the ninth, the Reds scored because there were two errors and a sacrifice fly. So Ken Johnson that year won 11 games for the hapless Colt 45s. As a career, he won 91 games. In 1966, he actually had a winning record with this team and pitched 215 innings. He was a good pitcher, okay? And he pitched a no-hitter, but he lost the game. So it's like, I did this, but it's hard to celebrate, right? I was the first one. 3 years later, a pitcher for the Baltimore Orioles, again, a pretty good pitcher, okay, no Hall of Famer, a good pitcher. April 30th, 1967, Steve Barber was pitching against the Detroit Tigers, and he pitched a no-hitter 2 outs into the 8th when they took him out of the game because the Tigers had scored 2 runs on walks, a wild pitch, and a fielder's choice. So they brought in a reliever to get 1 out. Between the two of them, they pitched a no-hitter in a losing game. In that game, Steve Barber had only himself to blame because he walked 10 batters, okay? He had some good seasons later on. He won 18, 20, and 15 wins for the Baltimore Orioles in different years. But this one accomplishment that he did in April of 67, he and Stu Miller, who only got 1 out, pitched a no-hitter and lost the game. I told you there were 6. The third one is a Yankees pitcher. Again, a fellow that probably most people, even Yankee fans, don't even know he pitched for them. July 1st, 1990, Andy Hawkins, pitching against the White Sox, threw 8 hitless innings. Peter, why not 9? Well, they were behind, and when the Yankees went out in the top of the ninth, they didn't play the bottom of the ninth. But in the innings he pitched, no hits. However, the White Sox won 4-0. How do you get 4 runs on no hits? Well, the Yankees that day made 3 errors. So you walk a guy, 3 errors behind you, misplayed balls, all of a sudden 4 runs cross the plate. And Andy Hawkins is credited with a no-hitter, but he lost the game. Now, how did Andy Hawkins do afterwards? He only pitched a little over a year afterwards, going 0-2 for the Yankees the next year with a 9.95 ERA. Prior to going to the Yankees, Andy Hawkins did have a good year with the Padres where he won 18 games. Short career, no big accomplishments, except he got his name in the Hall of Fame for a no-hitter that he lost. Number 4, April 12th, 1992, against the Cleveland Indians, pitching for the Red Sox, a fellow by the name of Matt Young. There's a name everyone knows, right? Matt, if you're listening, I'm not putting you down. He threw 8 hitless innings. Again, no 9th inning because you were the visiting team. Lost 2-1 on walks, steals, and a fielder's choice. That year, Matt Young finished the season 0-4 with a 4.58 earned run average. He only won 1 more game in the rest of his career. Prior to this year, his best season was with Seattle, where he once won 12 games. But Matt Young is just, look, if you're playing Major League Baseball, you're a great player, okay? So he has that accomplishment. And he's kind of lost in the sea of many baseball players. Except on that one day, he got the hole in one, right? He pitched a no-hitter, but he lost the game. Number 5, pitching for the Los Angeles Angels way later in 2008, kind of into our era here, just 18 years ago. Jered Weaver, who actually was a really good pitcher, and reliever Jose Arredondo, they combined for a no-hitter against the Dodgers. But the Dodgers scored a run on an error, a steal, a throwing error, and a sacrifice fly. And the two of them combined for a no-hitter that they lost 1-0. Jered Weaver himself was actually a pretty good pitcher. He pitched over a 4-year period. He won 67 games with the Angels. When he retired, he had 150 wins over 12 seasons. So he was not like only in there for a few years. He was a pretty dependable pitcher on the Angels. And that one day, he pitched a no-hitter but lost. Now, the last one occurred only 4 years ago. So you would think we would remember it, but that's the problem with losing the game. It doesn't get remembered. Cincinnati Reds against the Pirates. Pitching for the Reds on May 15th of 2022 was a guy by the name of Hunter Greene. He had to come out of the game. Art Warren replaced him. And again, 8 innings because they were the visiting team. They pitched a no-hitter against the Pirates. The Pirates scored on a fielder's choice in the 8th inning and won the game 1-0. Greene pitched 7 1/3 innings. Warren got the last 2 outs. Greene only pitched 4 seasons in the major leagues and only won a total of 5 games. Okay, pardon me. In the 4 seasons with the Reds, 5 games. In his career, let's give the guy credit. He did win 9 games. Okay, career record of 27 wins. But again, May 15th. Like the other 5 pitchers, I don't give much credit to the relievers, but there were a few relievers. No-hitter, name in the Hall of Fame for pitching a no-hitter and losing the game. So I reflect on this way. That great accomplishment that you had, but no one knows about it because there was no one there to see it, is what these guys went through. So we should have some empathy for this great accomplishment that goes relatively unrecognized. Now, they are in the Hall of Fame as having pitched the game, but they're not remembered nearly as fondly if they would have walked off the field having pitched a no-hitter and won it. Okay? That's my story. I hope you enjoyed it. I've got plenty more coming up in the future. And I hope stay tuned. So I need you. Subscribe, like, tell your friends about this. If people enjoy baseball and baseball stories, this is where you need to be. Okay? I'm Peter Lemieux with Rounding Third. Don't go anywhere.
People will come, Ray. They'll come to Iowa for reasons they can't even fathom. They'll turn up your driveway, not knowing for sure why they're doing it. They'll arrive at your door as innocent as children, longing for the past. Of course, we won't mind if you look around, you'll say. It's only $20 per person. They'll pass over the money without even thinking about it. For it is money they have, and peace they like.
Ray, just sign the papers.
And they'll walk out to the bleachers. Sit in shirt sleeves on a perfect afternoon. They'll find they have reserved seats somewhere along one of the baselines. Where they sat when they were children and cheered their heroes. And they'll watch the game. And it'll be as if they'd dipped themselves in magic waters. The memories will be so thick, they'll have to brush them away from their faces.
Ray, when the bank opens in the morning, they'll foreclose.
People will come, Ray.
You're broke, Ray. You sell now or you lose everything.
The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball. America has rolled by like an army of steamrollers. It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again. But baseball has marked the time. This field, this game, is a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again. Oh, people will come, Ray. People will most definitely come.
Ray, you will lose everything. You will be evicted.